And now we get to start the mission I wanted to play through since the game became a big deal hype-wise. And that's the mission from the gameplay trailer at E3. Welcome back to Spiderman, you guys. I'm Mike Daniels, and today we get quite a bit done in a half an hour. Now, I'm going to forewarn you, the end of this episode, I will not be talking probably a lot of it, because a lot of the second half of this episode is exposition and story. And so, there will be a big part of this where I'm not talking, but through the first part, this mission,
Jeff, I'm here.
I'm going to talk.
What do you see? Find the rest. The boss wants them dead.
Looks like the demons are moving in on Fisk's territory.
You got this?
I got this.
Also, I just noticed something in the gameplay trailer. That was Yuri he was talking to, so... interesting. I don't know why they changed that for the actual game, but... hey, what do I know?
Sleep it off.
And here we see me attempt to do more stealth. Now, again, I'm not great at the stealth in this game, but I'm passable. And some of my best stuff, as far as the stealth was, didn't make it to camera, just because, you know, it wasn't in an actual mission, per se. Later, there's missions where you have to do stealth or you fail, and they're a lot like the research stations. I'm not going to spoil what they are quite yet, but they're a lot like the research stations and that, so... I forgot I did that! That's comedy. Anyway, they're a lot like the research stations, and you do it for challenge tokens, and
what you came for. You don't need to kill us too.
Fisk's territory.
That was some of my best stealth work, was on those stealth missions. That was great. But this scene in general is probably my favorite, like, series of events in the game that you really play through. Because, I mean, a lot of the other stuff that's, like, the big major fun scenes are either done entirely through cutscene, or, it's not action-based on your side, a whole lot of it. It's more stealth-based, so...
Nice jumpsuit. Slimming.
like MJ at the auction house.
Wait, the demons. Who's their leader?
I like how Spuddy has to talk to him upside down.
Maybe I'll tell you.
And phone drop.
Saving bad guys from other bad guys. Not how I thought today would go.
This scene was just in general fun. It's, in my opinion, it's probably the most action-based combat in the entire game, is this series of events right here. That isn't a boss fight. Like, there's a lot of action-packed scenes that are boss fights but that are significantly shorter than this one. And this is probably the longest combat scene in the game. And it's just, in general, fun. And it was the perfect mission for them to show off at E3, because it really is the best part of the entire game, or not the best part of the entire game, but the best combat section of the entire game is this, because it's just basically superheroing fun is what this is. And surprisingly enough, I probably have some of my best combat here as well. Not the best combat you're probably gonna see, but it's some of it. Also, brutes with superpowers, that's fun. But as I mentioned last episode, like, as I played more of this game, I started to learn to change gadgets mid-fight, and you saw some of that there too. I do a lot more of it later. I also learned the value, as this series goes on, you'll find that it's really beneficial to take the opportunity when you can to web guys to the ground of the wall. Because the less guys you have to deal with as Spider-Man, the better off you are. Because he's not exactly, you know, Iron Man or Captain America. So, he can't handle armies of guys by himself. Although, granted, if there is an Iron Man or Captain America game, you probably won't be able to in those games either, so...
Better swing around the outside to look for Fist men.
You know, sometimes I like, in-game based hints where, like, the hero will say... Excuse me. Like Spidey just did, like, hey, I should swing around the building and look for Fist men. Like, I don't mind that in video games so much. I just wish that sometimes they wouldn't do it right away. Like, that was one of those times where it's like, can you at least give me a chance to at least try to see what's going on? Like, get my bearings about me from this combat. Again, it's kind of a nitpicky thing. So, I probably won't mention it in the review, so I'm just mentioning it here. Like, that's just one of those things that, like, I wish developers would stop doing so much of. Like, I don't mind a little bit of hand-holding, but that's just a little too much in my opinion.
Gotta find the survivors fast.
Like, I think I did this too in an order that the game wasn't anticipating you doing it in, so I get kind of turned around and... as I'm doing this, I'm also trying to figure out what level the guys are on, because the game doesn't have as a very good indicator of height when you're looking for certain areas, like this one. I was trying to figure out what level it was on. And there's another time when the ability to heal your or have a little extra time for a dodge saved my bacon. Because I would have been dead right there if I hadn't been for that ability. There's actually an ability you can get later, which I made a lot of use of too, which in my second playthrough in the hard difficulty, I'm probably going to get as soon as possible. And it didn't come as handy as I thought it was going to, but it was still a pretty fun ability. And essentially what it does, and I'm sure you'll see it later in the series, but essentially what it does is if you perfect counter a person trying to shoot you, which is like the blue counters where it like slows down and you web the guy in the face, if you do it to a guy shooting at you, essentially you get an instant KO on them if you hit the prompt fast enough. And it's also another really useful ability that I wish I would have gotten sooner than I did in this playthrough. I don't know if I could have had it quite at this point if I wanted to yet, but I might have. And it would have helped for this particular combat scene too, but I digress. Also, one of the cool things about this game that I actually didn't realize until I saw it in another YouTube video was when you kick guys off roofs, they don't fall to their deaths. They actually get stuck to a web to the side of the building, which I think is kind of a cool little detail thing, because Spidey tries to avoid killing people. I think right here I used the Spidey Drone, which is not a gadget I use too terribly much. I used it usually in situations like this one where there's a lot of guys.
Stay here. Wait for the police.
But I still typically didn't use it that much even then, so.
Your men are safe. Your turn. Who runs the demons?
Maybe he's there. Maybe he isn't. Check the roof.
I've missed these cryptic fist talks.
Yeah, I think specifically that last little bit there and this part was in the gameplay trailer. I know the whole mission wasn't, but I know this scene was.
Hello again.
Hi there.
Come on.
Crap, 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 crap. That's all I hear in my head sometimes with some of these things. It's just like crap, 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 crap. Ow. That's gonna leave a mark. I really like the use of the quick time events in this game. I don't feel like they're extremely overused, and when they are used, they're fun. However, if you're watching this as kind of like a way to gauge if you want to play this game, and I probably should have mentioned, I didn't actually find this out until later in the series, you can actually turn that off, like, so that you don't actually have to play those. And you can actually still get all the trophies if you don't, because none of the trophies are quick time event related. So if you really don't want to play the quick time events, you don't have to. I just do because I find it more fun. It's like an interactive cutscene. It's great. Don't you wish you had those in movies, where you can actually affect what happens on the screen? But this this still chasing of this helicopter right here just shows how bad I am under pressure when web slinging. Like, I'm fine at it whenever I'm just like going through town, but under pressure, I horribly suck at it. And I think part of it too, though, was that I knew I was filming, and I wanted the gameplay to be good.
I know.
And I was so focused on being good, I just forgot my fundamentals.
Maybe you could superhero a little faster?
Working on it, Yuri. Call you when it's done.
So, yeah, I apologize for my, taking forever to catch this helicopter, because... Ow. Because, I mean, I really, really did struggle here. And this is another reason why I'm kind of glad that I didn't, that I lost the live comm, because I would have had to edit a lot of this for my language, to be honest with you, because I remembered this scene exclusively. This part was also in the gameplay trailer.
Hope I live to regret this. Hi, is this the flight to Newark?
Cool, because I need a lift.
Afraid I have to ask you to pull over the helicopter, sir. One engine down. Now for the second.
Right here, in case you're wondering why it took so long to start the other side of the helicopter, I was hoping I could take that guy, actually, like, knock him out of the helicopter, so I wouldn't have to deal with him, but it wouldn't let me. Luckily for me, it didn't really matter all that much.
Real fast. I guess this is the plan.
This is one of the cooler scenes in the game.
Come on, Pete, you got this.
Just in general. Like, this whole sequence from beginning to end is just great.
Please don't screw this up.
Oh, so that's some fast shooting there, Tex. I am Iron Man.
These masks are
It's
so
the
awesome.
second time I made that joke.
Cool, thanks. Do they have a website? Whoops. Hey, Yuri. I caught the bad guys, but
But what?
you might want to bring a ladder.
Nice.
Yo, Miles.
And there is Miles Morales, who I actually pointed out right away when I did this live too, before I even said his name.
I gotta get to City Hall. For
Miles
my
is
dad's
pretty great.
ceremony. All right. Tell your pops I said congrats.
Turns out he's Jeff Davis' son in this game, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I like Miles. I like him as Spider-Man. And here's hoping he gets his own game, because that would be awesome.
start the
But
ceremony
anyway.
yet?
They're still setting up. Where are you?
Got hung up at work. Be there soon.
There's the stage entrance.
And starting here,
really
there's
right
going
up
to be a lot less of me talking. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stop my audio commentary here
You'll be
and let you
fine,
guys
honey.
enjoy this for what it is.
Last time I gave a speech,
Or
I was in high school. Miss Steinberg gave me
something.
If only Miss Steinberg could see you now.
Hey, you got this, Dad. I mean, come on, you saved Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure that makes you an official superhero.
A superhero. Or maybe I'm just a guy who doesn't give up.
Come on, honey.
Welcome, everyone. And before I hand it off to Mayor Osborne, I'd just like to say a few words. Our city is so
So?
such exemplary citizens.
I think this gang war may finally be over.
Like over?
I mean, there's some loose ends still to be tied up, but...
Loose ends.
Well, a truck pulled away from the scene from a company called Consolidated Shipping. Something's not right about it. I just don't know what.
Well, maybe after this we can grab some coffee. Figure it out together.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jim. Couldn't have said it better myself, but I'll try. We all know that Officer Davis is a hero.
But, instead of coffee, maybe we could have dinner instead. I could come over, I'll cook. Or we could, meet at a totally neutral location for a completely normal meal, cooked by professionals.
For acts of extraordinary bravery, above and beyond the call of duty, it is my privilege to present Officer Jefferson Davis with the Department Medal of Honor.
Now, I'd like to point out, I am still watching this with you guys.
Sounds urgent, sir. Fine.
I'm enjoying this scene once again with you. I really do like the end of Act 1 of this game, and this is the end of Act 1, and it's great. For storytelling purposes. You'll see what I mean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I share this honor with my family. My wife, Rio, and my son, Miles. Without their support, I couldn't do what I do.
Yes?
I've worked many years for this moment.
Who is this?
Over the coming days, your company, your city, and everything you care about will be destroyed. People will beg you for help, but you won't be able to save them.
Listen, jackass, I get threats like this twice a week. Why don't you grow a pair and tell me what you want?
To watch you suffer.
Thank God! Can you hear me, baby? Can you hear me? Peter?
can hear me, stay here. I'm going to find your father. Peter. Peter, wake up. Come on, say something, please.
And now we get our first scene where we get to actually play as Miles.
Mom!
This is one of the most powerful moments I've ever seen in a video game. And it gets better. And that's one of the things I like about this game. This shows, and I've said this, and I think I said this live, I don't know if I said this in this particular series yet, but I know I said this when I was doing this live, is that Spider-Man is one of the most fun-loving heroes in Marvel. And Marvel is known for being a little bit kind of like the antithesis to DC, where not everything is always so dark. And what people forget is that Marvel can get really, really dark. And this is the perfect example of how dark Marvel can get, and this game captures it perfectly. Just how dark Marvel can get, especially Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, you know, again, he's very fun-loving, but some of his storylines can get pretty dark. And I respect what this game did with this series. By the end of this game, I felt...
You okay? Nice going, kid. Are you okay?
Yeah. Are you okay?
I'm alright, Mom. I'm alright. You sure you're okay?
Yes, I'm gonna be alright. I'm gonna be alright.
Alright, Melissa, I have to go find Dad, okay?
No, wait. Miles, no. Miles, no!
At the end of this 20-hour game, I felt more...
I'll find him.
emotionally moved by the end of this story than I did at the end of Infinity War, like the movie. And to me, that is what is the most important about this kind of storytelling when it comes to video games. Like, I love a good movie, don't get me wrong, but sometimes video games can just hit that nerve that makes you really think. Because in a movie, you're watching what's happening. You're not really directly involved, typically. And I mean, I can pretty so say all the time. You're just not. Like, you're emotionally invested in the characters. But in a video game, you're playing those characters, so you get more attached to those characters. And this is pretty much perfectly how a video game can affect you is this game. And like, it's hard to have no emotions in playing this game. And there's a weird cut here, and the reason there's a weird cut here is because I failed this stealth part many times, and for the sake of time, because it's already a 35-minute video, I cut out the fails. So, if you guys want to start seeing more of my quote-unquote fails, I'll start putting them in. Probably not in this series, because by the time you see this episode, the whole series will probably be out. But for the future games, if you want to see more fails, let me know. I'll start adding more fails in. But it's really good. The difference between games and movies, and how a game can still draw the same emotions, and sometimes more, than a movie can. And this is why I love video games. This game reminded me why I love video games. Because for a while there, outside of playing games with my friends, I didn't really play too many video games that were like single-player experiences. And this game reminded me why I enjoy it so much. And that's why I'm a gamer. And that's why I really did enjoy playing through this game. So, on that note, no more of me the rest of this episode. Just enjoy the ending of this act, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Stop! No!
Enough! We have to leave. Now!
Dad. Dad! Dad! Dad, no! Wake up, Dad. Wake up. Wake up.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Do I know you?
I'm Peter Parker. I was at City Hall when... Look, I know you don't know me, but I just wanted to say...
I know what you're going through. That's what you were gonna say, right? Or it all gets easier with time. Or don't worry. It's part of God's plan.
I'm sorry. I was just
trying to help. I know.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what of him.